Hey everybody, Chef Britt here with atbbq.com, and today we're making smoked pecan sandies. So what makes these pecan sandies so special and unique is that we are going to be cold smoking the pecan pieces that go into our cookie dough. Another aspect that's interesting about this cookie dough is that we're using the icebox method, which means that we're going to pre-shape the cookie dough and then place it into the fridge to set up. And once it's ready, we'll cut discs out of the dough, and that will form our cookie. So let's head outside and get our pecan smoking. And I'm gonna fill this amazing tube smoker up with about maybe a cup's worth of these 100% pecan pellets. We're gonna light the end here. For about 30 seconds until it's pretty well lit. We're gonna let that naturally extinguish itself, and then that smoke is gonna roll through over our pecan pieces, and we'll let that cold smoke for about 1 hour. It's been about an hour. They've absorbed plenty of that smoke flavor, so let's go on and take them in and get our cookie dough started. So I'm just going to put these aside until we're ready to add them into our cookie dough. So to be the most accurate, I'm going to go ahead and weigh out my flour and sugar today. And we're just going to need about a pound of flour. And then we're going to need a ½ pound of sugar. So now we're just going to get started with the batter. The first step is to do the most basic thing when you start a cookie batter, which is to cream together the butter and the sugar. We got our pound of butter with a ½ pound of sugar. And we're just gonna paddle this until it is well creamed. So what we're looking for when we're creaming our butter is for it to lighten in not only texture but color as well. And then we're also looking for the sugar to dissolve and to melt into the butter. When we're doing this, we are incorporating air, which is going to give a more tender and light cookie in the end. I'm going to go ahead and kick up the speed here. We'll let this cream for about 5 to 10 minutes. We'll just keep an eye on it. So I will occasionally stop and just scrape down the sides and make sure that I'm getting an even distribution of all the ingredients here. And I'm gonna give it one more little turn around the bowl and we should be okay. Okay, so now I'm gonna add the flour. A couple of teaspoons of kosher salt. And then we're going to turn the mixer back onto a low speed until the dough just comes together. All right, so see how the dough is just starting to clump together? Next we're going to add our pecan pieces. Keep on mixing until it comes together like a cookie dough. Also would be a good time to scrape. Just make sure that you don't have any big patches of butter that will later turn into a blowout if you're not careful. All right, so the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna weigh out all of the cookie dough so that I can evenly divide this in half later to shape into logs. All right, so we're about 2 pounds, 11.2 ounces. All right, so divided in two, that's about 1 pound and 5 ounces for each log that I'm going to shape here. Perfect. What I'm doing here is I'm dividing the dough so that I can shape them into a log. Now we're shaping them into a log because this is a icebox method cookie, which means that we are going to shape this dough and then we're going to set it up in our fridge and cut slices out later. But let me show you how to make the logs. Okay, so I have my piece of parchment here and I'm just going to give it a rough shape to start. And then we're going to use the parchment to roll it, as well as this little plastic bowl scraper. And we're going to tighten the edge by sealing it down at the bottom. I'm just going to, so you can kind of see how this is tightening up into a very circular roll here. I'm going to continue easing it out to the edges here, and we'll try and keep it as even as possible. Using this to press a seal into the bottom, creating that natural circular shape. Pretty close here. Just going to give it one more little tighten roll, and then we'll keep it in the parchment just to keep the dough sealed and it doesn't dry out while we keep it in the fridge. Okay, so I'm just going to roll that up. And we'll put it on a sheet pan while we roll up the next one. And I'm just going to repeat the process for the second one here. Put that onto the sheet pan and we'll run it off to the fridge. All right, so it's been about an hour now and our logs have chilled up very nicely, so they're ready to roll in some sugar and slice. So I'm going to use this Noble Saltworks smoked maple turbinado sugar, and I'm just going to get a nice little even layer across my board here. And we'll just release this. And we're going to press it and roll it in here. Don't be worried if it cracks in the middle. Sometimes that happens. We can kind of glue these pieces back together or just trim off the uneven pieces. Okay, so now we're just going to trim up the side here, get rid of that uneven piece, and then we're going to make about 1/4 inch slices all the way down the log. Now we're going to set these up on our sheet pan. These will spread out just a little bit, but not too much to where they spread out very far, so we can get these a little bit closer together. All right. I'm just going to get these really evenly spaced right to the edge of that paper. Now we're ready to head out to the smoker. So today we're going to be cooking on the Yoder Smoker's YS640S. I've got it preheated to 350 degrees. All right, we're going to put these on the bottom rack here, away from that heat source. We're going to let those cook for about 12 to 15 minutes. We'll check them right at 12 minutes. It's been 12 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and check the bottoms of these for any color, and it looks like they've got a really good golden brown color, so I'm going to go ahead and pull these off. I think they're ready. So these have been off the smoker now for about 10 minutes. They're cool enough to handle, so let's check them out. So most of the color is going to be on the bottom of the cookie here. This has a great golden brown color Any lighter, and you'll notice that the cookies won't have that characteristic sandy texture. Instead, they'll be a little chewy, but this should be perfect. Who doesn't love a good pecan sandy? These are super buttery, just a nice light sweetness. I love the little salt that you get in there, and the smokiness is just overwhelming throughout, but in a really great way. I love this cookie, and you will too. Well, thanks for joining me today. It's been really fun making these cookies with you guys. Feel free to head on over to atbbq.com to see all of the tools that we use today. And if you want to see more recipes, tips, or techniques, head on over to atbbq.com/thesauce, and we'll see you around.